May 2025, the astrology of it, I'm looking ahead, and I feel like we're kind of standing on the edge of a new chapter, another new chapter. Yes, I'm 2025 is full of these big shifts, and one is happening at the end of this month. There's so many things in this month that's kind of just a mix. We're going to have moments where emotions are going to run really deep. Could be some deep catharsis, some processing where we need to release some old baggage, and then there's going to be really beautiful lighter times where we're buzzing with curiosity and we have chances to connect or explore new ideas. There's a sense of something shifting that's massive, and it's not just in our personal lives, but it's in the world. I mean, we can see it. There's the first spark of this thing that's going to reshape how we live and think. It's coming in May. So let's look through the month. We'll go with the highlights, and you can mark them on your calendar if you want to just give yourself an idea of how this is going to flow. The first one is May 2nd, a Venus and Neptune conjunction. They're going to align in Aries at the first degree. So we're coming off a rather intense end of April, that last third where we had the Mars Pluto opposition, the T square with a new moon. Oof, intense. But this is a really nice way to start off the month of May. Venus, as we know, is the planet of love and beauty, harmony, pleasure, what we value. And Neptune weaves in our yearnings for a higher connection or this inspiration that comes from somewhere beyond, the compassion that's the greatest compassion possible. And together, when they become one, they provide one of the most beautiful energetics, in my opinion, possible. It's very sweet and gentle and graceful. And it's not the first time this has happened. They've met together in Pisces, and this is the first time that they're actually meeting in Aries. Rem Butler says in his book, The Archetypal Universe, that Neptune and Venus together bring in feelings of melted ecstasy and devotion for the beloved. I mean, that's just beautiful. So we're going to put that idea in the sign of Aries, which is the pure I am energy. That alignment of these two planets together, we're embracing something for our individuality, a feeling that surges in with confidence and self love. Now, wherever Aries falls in your chart, that's going to shape where this energy lands for you. Now, Aries, anything that goes in there is going to be getting a very nice supportive sextile from Pluto for the next 19 years. And that's great because those two planets, they stimulate each other, or those two signs, I should say, stimulate each other, Aries and Aquarius. Now, Pluto's currently at 3 degrees Aquarius, and there it's, making its move on the humanitarian, the unique link, suggesting like our personal action could lead to a lasting change over time in our personal expression, our individuality, if that makes sense. So this is a stimulation, and that's a lighter side of Pluto that comes into it, which is nice. So these three together bring up ideas that are primal and mystical and deeply healing and inspiring. Ultimately, it's a very profound awareness of love and the most spiritual power of the universe. So all of this is in air and fire signs, and that indicates an action an ideas or air sign things. Action is fire sign, and those are working well together. Speaking of Pluto, a few days later, May 4th, Pluto turns retrograde until October 14th, 2025. That's a long retrograde. It's 162 days. So Pluto's the archetype that's it represents deep structural transformation, metamorphosis over time, and that is like, wow, we can't just do that in one day. It takes 162 days for it to go back a few degrees. It's just deconstructing something completely, and then it needs to reconstruct. So Pluto goes retrograde at 3 degrees, and it'll travel backwards over those 162 days to get to 1 degree Aquarius. Like, that's a lot of time to go a very short way, 2 degrees. So it means this is very deliberate rethinking, reframing, reworking. Whatever house topics you have with Aquarius, that's what's happening. That's where it's a long process, though. Something's changing there in like geological time is slow. It's permanent. It's going to take a while. So this is a time to look inward, reflect on what could be coming up, just to preview, kind of get an idea of what's completely changing in your life. I have other videos where I talk about Pluto through the houses. So I can put those in the description below if you haven't seen those yet. Kind of good idea to know what Pluto's working on and what it has just been working on in your chart. So this is nice because Pluto is separating from Mars as it's retrograding. Mars is moving forward in Leo. So that opposition that we've been feeling, that intense energy is dissipating. And Pluto moving backwards, retrograde, is going closer into a more exact sextile to Neptune in Aries at 1 degree. So it's adding more stimulation. It's taking the better side of Pluto, the best friend version of it. Like it's adding something inspired and visionary, a layer that's flowing through these big outer planets at the edge of our system. Those are the two outer furthest guys. And we're in a process of awakening. That's what it's saying. They're stimulating each other. The Aries individual flowing nicely into the collective. That's the concept we're making here. Something's changing in our collective, and that's Pluto in Aquarius. And spiritualizing from the I am energy, it's our personal principle. It's getting a higher level with Neptune in it. And how can that change the Aquarian collective? We're one individual unit as one person, but we're also part of one greater energetic, which is what Aquarius represents. When we change the individual, which is the only thing we ever have real control over, is how we perceive the world, how we understand ourselves, our individuation path, all that jazz. And that's all we can do. And that's, if you put all that together, the sum is greater than its parts. And when everybody works on themselves, the Aquarius collective, it gets healthier, it gets better. May 7th, we have Mercury conjoining with Chiron and Aries. Now, Mercury rules communication. Chiron heals old wounds. It represents the wounds, basically. It's the wounded healer. And with it being in Aries, it's a really deep identity wound that's being conceptualized over time. I am, right? This is Aries is hot. It's on fire. Literally, it's a fire sign. But anyway, this alignment is going to create a powerful moment or words that can be like thinking about what hurt you in the past and it's still on your mind potentially could come to the surface here about your own expression, your self-expression. We could be rebuilding those connections in our mind. It could open up some idea in your head where you're starting to understand your personal power is not dependent or contingent on anybody else. It's not on the things that have hurt you in the past. It's not on the people that are in your life. You really are starting to understand what you are doing with your own expression. Now, Aries, it brings a courage to express the truth, and Mercury is really fresh and fast in the sign after it's been, in Pisces and retrograde and all that stuff. And now it's making a space for honest communication about that woundedness. It's never easy, right? We talk about these things like they're so simple, but the Chiron wound, the Chiron example here is to go deep into something that is not feeling like you're good enough. I'm not good enough. Why should I try? And Chiron comes in and makes us face it and then use that. It's just alchemy, right? Using that and using that pain to change it into power. And Mercury kind of can bring the mind to it and start making ideas and thinking about it. Pretty soon after this, Mercury is going to leave Aries and enter Taurus on May 10th. That's going to shift the focus, right? Taurus is much more practical. It's fixed earth, it has to do with money and values and the five senses. And on May 12th, Mercury is going to square up with Pluto in Aquarius because Taurus squares Aquarius. They're both fixed energies. They square each other 90 degrees. So that's tension. It's going to push us to question priorities. So this day is May 12th is a little bit more potentially challenging in some way or another. It kind of asks us to dig deep and face whether our time or energy is aligning with what really matters to us. It could be like a moment of truth where we're confronting habits or commitments that feel out of sync. Maybe we're just pouring effort into something that doesn't reflect the core values that you have, maybe. And so there could be a tendency to come into some power struggles at this time because we're talking about Pluto as well. And that's always, Pluto's always got that issue where there's power struggles. And it could even just be you versus yourself. And Mercury's involved, it's your own mind. So obsessions can get involved here and just like spinning wheel kind of energy. So just make sure to keep that in mind that all things pass. If this is a challenging day, Mercury moves so dang fast and it's really quick right now. So this is a quick transit, but squares always bring some important lesson. We have to go through these challenges. And on the other side of the challenge, if there is one for you, there's usually a very profound understanding, especially when Pluto is involved. Yeah, mid-May is where things get a little bit dicey because the same day Pluto and Mercury have their square off is the full moon in Scorpio. That is happening with an intensity. Scorpio, it drives our deepest emotions. It's uncovering truth. It's urging us to release something that holds us back. Now the moon is technically in fall in Scorpio. It's not in the best location, right? It's difficult. It means it's more complex in general for the moon because it just, and Scorpio stuff just is very, very, very deep. The moon is going to be opposing Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is restless. It brings up this urge to break free, perhaps from like something that you've been thinking about in the last few days that has come up from the Chiron wound and the Mercury Pluto square and this. So mid-month, just make sure you have a little bit more grace for yourself here and understand this. Just it's going to pass. Whatever it is this difficult potentially, but it depends on your chart, of course. So it could be a routine that you're ready to break up from, or a relationship that you need to face something, or a belief, a self-limiting belief keeping you stuck. Moon and Uranus, though, they oppose each other. And the moon just wants comfort, right? And the moon is in a discomforted space because it's in fall in Scorpio. And Uranus is opposing and bringing that impulsiveness, some form of liberation or awakening that could cause some tension. The full moon always illuminates something we need to see. And this one's just a little more challenging, I think. It's showing us something that's buried deep, potentially emotionally. It could be coming to the surface in the few days before this. Uranus is going to oppose from the other side with thoughts of liberation. So breaking free. And even though that could be in the end a positive thing, right? That's what I'm trying to say. There's always a positive on the other side of any challenge. But breaking free part might not be comfortable because it's an opposition. It's not going to be comfortable. That's logical. So nothing really worth having is without a little bit of sacrifice. And this could be a call to face some truth, embrace some change, no matter where it comes through for you personally. It's just generically going to be like that for the world in general as well. I think those few days, the 10th through the 12th, a little bit more challenging. On May 18th, we have a bright, innovative little spark. Uranus is Cazimi with the sun in Taurus. They're conjoined on the same degree, and this amplifies Uranus's energy in a bright and clear way. Uranus and Taurus, they're not exactly the BFFs, but when Uranus is Cazimi with the sun, it's like a spotlight on the good parts. I think it amps it up in the best possible way that we can be breaking free from old patterns or embrace new possibilities in that Taurus area of life. So if you see this, it's kind of like a story, it's a flow. So we're going from those potential, some mind games, some struggles, some emotional challenges with that full moon, possibly, right? Then we come into the 18th and there's some liberation, the feeling of, oh, there's an illumination here in this area, that this is a moment of clarity, inspiration, a surge of creativity, or a bold idea that's going to push you to be more authentic, rethink your approach to what maybe you've learned in that full moon experience, if anything came up for you. It's a good thing, I think. It offers us a chance to see things differently, fresh perspectives. And this might be the turning point if you have any difficulties mid-month. Mercury is going to square Mars on this day. So that does add a little bit of, risk for sharp words or rushed decisions. Confidence, and the balancing here just comes with a little bit of patience, I think. On May 20th, the sun is going to enter Gemini. That brings a much lighter, curious social mood to everything. And Gemini just loves to explore ideas, communication, connecting with others, staying open to new perspectives. So I feel like this is the next part of the story where maybe something opened up and it didn't quite feel great. But now by the 20th, things are going to start feeling a little more clear. You understand where you're going with this. It's like a fresh breeze, right? That's really nice for a beautiful spring day. On May 22nd, Venus and Mars are going to align in the gorgeous, fabulous, active fire trine. That's so good. Aries to Leo. It's very warm. It brings ease in relationships, it sparks happiness and fire action. This aspect fosters cooperation, makes it easier to connect with people. It could be friends, partners, colleagues, anything, anybody that you connect with. And it could be a really good time to do something very active and fun with another person, a friend, a partner, or go on an adventurous date if that's something that you want to do or is available to you. You can also use this Mars Venus trine to find some more emotionally vibrant artistic expression, maybe using more bold or passionate words or colors in your work. Maybe explore a little more of the archetype of the male female energy that's in harmony, right? We have so much that's trying to push the male and female into toxicity. So this is a really good time to see the yin and yang balancing kind of thing. It's very pleasurable, vivacious, supportive between Venus and Mars. On May 24th, the Sun in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius are going to align in another supportive trine. Hey, this is great. This is great end of the month. It's going to offer us a moment to focus on a goal that feels maybe bigger than you, but you can do it. This is an aspect, right? Trines are very, very powerful. This aspect can bring in how you make a difference in your community, or maybe advancing yourself with more meaningful projects or ideas. And that's going to get us into the concept of exploring also the shadow self, because Sun and Pluto, like both of them are coming in with these ideas. Sun in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is really the shadow, right? And the Sun is our light principle. They're opposite sides of the spectrum. So if we have that conceptually, we're thinking about them in a trine, we can start seeing how those things work together in a positive way for ourselves to connect with the primal natural energy that's inside of us, instead of rejecting it or being, any kind of negative feelings about the shadow self. To see the importance of the shadow, the darkness is important. Without the darkness, there's no light. We need to accept them both as parts of us. And once you do, they really have a lot less power over you. And it's kind of like liberation, freedom. Here's the big one that happens at the end of the month. May 25th, Saturn enters Aries for the first time since 1996, man, back to 96. Good times. Saturn enters Aries. It's 96 to 99 was the last time it was there. So if you were born during those years, or if you have children or know people born during that year, they're in their Saturn return. Woo, welcome to the club, kids. Saturn is about discipline and structure and long-term effort. It's been in Pisces, and when it moves from Pisces into Aries, it's going to flip the script. Okay, let's take a second to compare what Saturn is like in Pisces versus what it's like in Aries, because this is going to feel different. Saturn has been in Pisces for a couple years now, and it's, emotional, spiritual depth with discipline. So Pisces is that intuitive, dreamy, collective focused. Okay. And Saturn brings structure and responsibility. It's the bindle. It's the guy that's got all the Tupperware, and he's like, okay, let's put some of this stardust in and we'll see what we can do with it when we move out into Aries. So that's kind of the part we are at right now. Saturn is a really chill version of itself, but he still brings the bindle. And Pisces is like the cool uncle version of Saturn. Anyway, Saturn has back-to-back signs. It has Capricorn and Aquarius together, and dude, that was rough. Saturn back to back. And now it's in Pisces for a while. And that brings containment to imagination. Epic creative pursuits can be written, like Lord of the Rings kind of thing. And then Saturn in Aries is a different beast altogether. It's going to be much more bold, fiery, and courageous about taking action. So Saturn brings structure and responsibility to that. But with Neptune there, that's also bringing a whole nother version of Saturn when he blends with another planet. It's creative and focused. It's going to be building something in our identity, the personal identity, very clear goals. One thing about Aries is it wants to move fast and quickly and could get impatient if it doesn't. That's what Saturn can come in there and make things a little bit slower. That's the only thing. So wherever we have Aries energy, there is just some big changes happening in that part of our life. And it's going to be interesting. Globally, it's going to fuel a lot of brave new starts, but at first it's going to be weird. It is with these two planets involved. So the key difference here is Pisces Saturn is about introspection, collective service, creativity, and it's a little more unclear, a little more emotional. And Saturn Aries is about personal action, clarity, pushing personal decisiveness to build something in the future that's worth having. Saturn is mastery. So we're maybe mastering our spirituality and our individuality. Kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, with the individual working on themselves, ourselves. So the collective becomes healthier. So Saturn entering Aries, the big deal about that is that it's coming close to the great Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Like, that's huge. Those two meet every 36 years. That's the cycle that they have. But meeting in Aries, the last time they did that was in the 1700s. And they historically align in Aries with really sweeping cultural, intellectual transformation movements. Creativity and reason define society in a completely different way. That's why I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be great. So May 2025 is going to mark the start of that. It's a long-term transformative wave that's going to reverberate in history, just like the last two. Ooh, exciting. You need to pay attention to what these little clues are here that it's going to show us the first illumination of it. The month ends with a really cool new moon in Gemini. It's a burst of fresh air, man, opening the doors, new ideas, connections, anything that's happening mid month that may be meh. This is it. This is the beginning of something very beautiful and fresh because this new moon is guided by Mercury. Mercury is in its home sign in Gemini. Ooh, that's good. It sharpens our thinking, fuels our desire to learn and share and connect ideas. And Mercury is just right there with the sun and the moon. So it makes everything just clear, brimming with possibility. It's a best case scenario. On top of that, this lumination is going to be lifted by a special pattern called a minor triangle. It's where three planets form this harmonious shape in the sky. In astrology, it means that one planet has a like this trine, a strong flowing connection with another, and then they have a supported opportunity driven link, like a sextile to the third. Okay, it's just basically it's the opposite of the T square, where the two planets are in opposition and squared another one. This one is nice. It's Mercury in a supportive trine to Pluto in Aquarius, and that brings in deep, meaningful flow, energetics, ideas, insights. It ties our ideas to something bigger. And then Mercury is going to sextile Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so does Pluto from Aquarius. So a pattern weaves together very clear thinking. It's really nice for the future, the vision of the future, creating something dynamic and uplifting. So this new moon is really nice at the end of the month, very curious, ready to grow. Let your mind wander into new possibilities. It depends on where that is in your chart. It could be your work, relationships, bigger dreams, intellectualizes it. It brings a spark of curiosity and fun and joy and wanting to learn and explore ideas. So the minor triangle makes the new moon feel like a really beautiful starting point, fresh thoughts, fresh connections. They carry a real weight. And it's also tied to that Saturn Neptune alignment, which is building. So this lunation is a preview. It's lighting up some clear path. I like that a lot for the end of the month. So that pretty much wraps up May. It's been really nice to share the look ahead with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I like you just the way you are. And I will talk to you next time.